So let's dive a little deeper beyond the mind's ken. You remember that little anecdote in a time before mirrors were created, when a king went out hunting with his wise and trusted advisor and a group of hunters. But after traveling in the forest for some time, tired and thirsty, they came upon a still lake. And when the king bent over, he saw in the stillness of the lake a picture. And he turned to his advisor and said, "What is this that I'm seeing?" And his advisor, a wise man, said, "Why, monarch, that is your image. That is who you are." And the king said, "Where do we meet, this image and me?" And the advisor bent down and splashed the water of the lake into the king's face. And then there's a story about a young girl by the name of Maylin. Maylin was the daughter of a rich merchant. But from the earliest age, Maylin had been playing with her friend who lived not far away, called Er Zu. But Er Zu came from a very poor family. His father was a shepherd, so they lived a very subsistence life. But the two played together, and as they grew, the bond between them grew and grew into a love deep and abiding. But then Maylin came to the age where she was marriageable. And, of course, she said to her parents that the only one she wanted to marry was her beloved Er Zu. But the parents would not think of this. It would be marrying below her station. Er Zu was broken-hearted, so he decided to leave the village and seek his fortune far and wide. Maylin was broken-hearted. But then Er Zu had not gone very far. He was tired, and he lay down by a stream under a tree to rest. And as he was dozing, suddenly he felt a presence beside him. And thinking that it was a snake or an animal, he woke up with a start to find his beloved Maylin there, lying beside him by the stream. They went off together, and they made a life. Er Zu became a boat builder, and Maylin gave birth to 2 children who she nurtured and loved carefully. But her heart was always sad. She missed her parents, and she grieved that she had, in a sense, betrayed them by leaving them. So she longed to go back and make reparation. So she convinced Er Zu to come with their 2 children to return to their home village. And this they did, They travelled far until they finally came to the edge of the compound where Maylin's parents lived. And Maylin said to Er Zu, "Go ahead. Tell my parents what has happened, and then I will follow." So Er Zu went and knocked on the door of Maylin's parents' house. And when the father came to the door, and Er Zu explained to him what had happened, Maylin's father said, "But no, Maylin is here. She has not risen up from her bed since you left." But somehow Maylin within the house knew what was happening, and she came out to the door wearing her finest gown. She walked out of the door. Her parents stood aside, as did Er Zu, and the Maylin, with her 2 children, walked up from the edge of the compound, and the 2 Maylins stood face to face, and then they came together and merged as one. But strangely, Maylin, after this merging, was only wearing 1 set of clothes. These stories go beyond the ability of the mind to comprehend them in the normal way. But the question can still be asked and allow us to have a realization. What is it that arises from deep within our being as an understanding, an interpretation, an acknowledgement, a knowing of what these stories mean? What is it that immediately comes to mind? We have to look to our experiences for the answers to these deep, deep stories. What is it that's beyond the mind that can come together for us when we stop trying to work out with our mind the workings of the mind? What is it that we touch? What is it that arises? What is it that's there in our life? Beyond conflict, beyond good and bad, beyond the gunas 3,
there just is.
Isn't that where you are now?
Mm-hmm.
where the mind stops asking the questions, not needing to get into dialogue about it. So we see the purpose of these encounters, these experiences, isn't it? Not to learn a lesson from them, but to boggle the mind so that we go beyond and see, isn't it? So what's the deep meaning of these stories? The breaking of the image and the merging of the Maylins. What could it mean for us?
The end of duality becomes one.
Absolutely. The end of duality, all duality. No heaven and earth, beyond good and bad, and so forth and so on. No more duality. Where do they meet? Thank you, thank you.